In this short video, I'm going to show you how you can keep 100% of your overtime and your bonus pay. Because right now, if you're making overtime or bonus pay, portion of that is going to the government. So in this short video, I'm going to show you how you can keep 100% of that. Okay, so first off, are you getting a bonus from work or working overtime? Okay, the reason why I asked that is a friend of mine recently told me he was working a ton of overtime, like about 20 extra hours a week. Okay, that's a lot of overtime and a lot of extra pay, almost about $900 a week. That's a lot of money, like doing all that extra time, making $900 extra a week. That's insane. So now the sad part is that the majority of that was going to the government. And his reaction was, laughing it off, saying, well, what else can I do? So here's the thing. It's not true that you have to pay taxes on that money. There's a way that you can get around that so that you keep more of that overtime and that bonus money in your pocket. Okay, so this is something that I used to do when I was working full-time as an engineer. And the way I see it is that if you are doing overtime and getting paid a bonus, then why are you working all that overtime, spending less time with your family, putting more stress on your body, spending most of your day stuck in a 9 to 5 only to work more hours just to make more money so that you can pay the government more taxes? So, that line of thinking just doesn't make any sense for me. So if you are working overtime and getting a bonus, then automatically you have to give more taxes to the government. Okay, and this is why. Because every time you work an extra hour or you get some bonus money, you increase your taxable income. And at the end of the year, your total taxable income increases, and that will potentially bump you up into the next tax bracket. And so this means that if let's say right now, if your base salary is 50,000 and you do all this overtime, you get all this bonus, and then at the end of the year, your total income is actually 75, well, then really what you've done is you've bumped yourself up into the next tax bracket. And what this means is that you're actually giving more tax dollars to the government, right? And you work the extra hours and you have less time with your family, but you have to give the government more money. Here's an idea on how you can work those extra hours and get the extra bonus, but keep more of it in your own pocket rather than giving it to the government or being bumped up into the next tax bracket and paying more taxes to the government. So this is what I did when I was working in my full-time engineering job and realized that there was a way to reduce the amount of taxes that the government would take from me at the point of where I was getting my paycheck every 2 weeks. So what I mean by that is for every 2 weeks that I would work, I would get a paycheck, okay, like a slip, a pay slip. And on there would list the number of hours I worked. So normally the 80 hours for the 2 weeks. And then it would show how much I was getting paid per hour, how much my overtime was. And then it would also show how much the government was holding back from that paycheck to cover my tax bill at the end of the year. So that at the end of the year, I didn't have to pay as big of a tax bill because they already withheld some. So what that really means, though, is that for every single paycheck, I was actually getting a smaller amount in my pocket, even though I was doing all this overtime or getting a bonus. I was actually getting less money in my pocket to cover my rent and food and expenses. So one of the things that I found out that I could actually do to prevent that was to request the government not take out so much money from my paycheck every 2 weeks. I know, right? Like you can just ask them to do that. Yes, the answer is absolutely yes. So there's a form that you fill out and with your HR department, and your HR department will send it to the government, and then the government will do whatever they need to do to reduce the taxes from your paycheck every single paycheck so that you actually get more money at the end of the 2 weeks that you've worked. Okay, now here's the thing though. When you get that extra money at the end of the 2 weeks in your paycheck, that doesn't mean that you get to go out and do more takeout dinners or buy a TV or take a trip to Cancun. what I did with that extra money was I used it to make investments. So for every dollar of bonus or overtime that I did, I took that exact same amount and I dumped it right into my mortgage so that I could make an investment. Okay, so that $1 of overtime or bonus translated automatically to another dollar of investment through my HELOC. So I'm going to show you how I did that and the steps that I took to do that. Okay, so step number 1 is contact your HR at your company. You're going to fill out a form. It's the T1213, which is the request to reduce tax deductions at source. So I'm going to include a link below for the form, but you can just Google it as well. Okay, so the T1213. Step number 2 is that for every hour of overtime that you work or for the bonus that you get, you're going to make that same equivalent dollar for dollar amount and dump it right into your mortgage. Okay, so either through a double up payment or an annual increase on your mortgage. So now to do this, you can either just do it online if you have an online platform like I do, where you can make those adjustments on your mortgage, or you can contact your bank and have them walk you through it. I'm going to include a link for a video that I did on explaining the GLAD method. And the GLAD method talks about how you can pay off your mortgage in 10 years. Okay, so now step 3 is that you want to set this up automatically, meaning that you don't need to wait every 2 weeks and then manually move the money from your banking account to your mortgage. Okay, you want this done automatically so that you don't have to think about it. Okay, so that's number 3. So number 4, when your mortgage goes down, right, because you're making this lump sum amount in through the double up or the annual increase, when your mortgage payment goes down, your HELOC is going to go up. Okay, so what you want to do with that is that once that HELOC reaches a certain amount, you want to pull that money out from your HELOC and make an investment. You have to make an investment. Okay, so whether it's in stocks or a business or buying real estate or investing into a real estate property, an investment property that you already have. And the reason for that is that every dollar from your HELOC that you put into your investment, the interest expense from your HELOC becomes a tax deductible write-off. Okay, so now which leads to step number 5. So the great thing about when your business or your stocks or your real estate investment makes money, makes you a profit, you can pull that profit right back out from your investment, dump it right back into your mortgage, okay? And then your mortgage will go down, your HELOC will go up in value. You can pull that money out from your HELOC and make more investments. So as you can see, it forms a cyclical effect with your money, okay? And that's a great thing. So I'm going to include a link below on that particular strategy, and that is called the Smith's maneuver. Okay, so now, of course, this entire strategy is dependent on 3 things. Okay, the first thing is that it is dependent on you having a primary residence with a mortgage on it tied to a HELOC. Okay, it's better if you're going to do the strategy with a mortgage on your primary with the HELOC. You can still do the strategy even if you don't have a mortgage, or you don't have your own primary residence, but it works a lot. Like the power is in the numbers if you have a HELOC with their mortgage on your primary residence. Okay. The second thing that this strategy is dependent on is that you need to have a stock option or a business venture or a real estate deal to invest your HELOC money in. If you don't have one of those, then what I would suggest is that you take your overtime pay down your mortgage, but then sit on your HELOC until you go and get the education to be able to decide on a stock to buy or to decide on a business to buy or decide where your real estate investment is going to be. Okay, until that point, to sit on it until you get that education. Okay, so that's the second thing. Okay, and then the third thing that the strategy is dependent on is that when you get that extra pay from your overtime or your bonus, okay, you want to put it against your mortgage. If you don't do that, and let's just say you take that extra money from your overtime or your bonus and you buy a consumable good, then you're not going to be leveraging this strategy. You're basically just paying the government that tax dollar, and you might as well then not even do the strategy. So the biggest thing is that you don't buy a consumable item and that you actually take that money and you put it against your mortgage. Okay, now if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or send me a message from the content below. Thank you very much for watching.